Is my screen visible?
Yes, your
Hello.
screen is visible.
My name is Yashvi Jain. I'm a second year undergraduate of the Department of Chemical Engineering with specialization in financial engineering. To- Today I'll be talking about stochastic processes and Ito's calculus. Let me begin. Random variable. In probability and statistics, a random variable is defined as a variable whose outcome depends on the random phenomenon. For example, a coin toss or a throw of a dice, both of these phenomenons are random phenomenons, and so their outcome is known as a random variable. A random process or a stochastic process is defined as the collection of is defined as a collection of random variables indexed by time. There are two types of random processes. One is discrete time random process and other is continuous time random process. Discrete time random process means that the time intervals are fixed integers. Suppose at t1, t2, t3, t4, the value of x is observed, and this x follows, and this x is a random variable. So x0, x1, x2 up to xn are random variables. So this type of distribution is known as a discrete time random process. One example can be the throw of a dice. So suppose at first minute one value is recorded, at second minute another value is recorded, and so on. So it is indexed by time and it is a random variable, so it is known as discrete time random process. Another random process is continuous time random process or continuous time stochastic process. A continuous time random process is a process in which the time is not some fixed integer or the value of the random variable is not measured at some fixed interval of time, rather it is measured for all time periods. But the meaning of continuous time stochastic process is not that the uh, value of x should be continuous. Like suppose the value of x can have discontinuity. Even this process is a continuous time random process since the time is continuous, but x can have discontinuity in it. Another definition of stochastic process is the probability distribution over a space of paths. Suppose x can follow infinite number of paths, and the probability that it will follow exact one path is the probability of occurrence of that stochastic process. So we move on to the first type of stochastic process, that is a simple random walk. A simple random walk is a discrete time random process and it is the most simple random process. So suppose we define yi is equals to either +1 or -1 with probability half. This can be viewed with the example of a coin toss. Suppose head comes, then we assign yi a value of +1, and suppose tail comes, then we assign the value of yi equals to -1. So now we toss a fair coin and we get the value of yi's. Now xk is defined as the sum of yi's from I equals to 1 to k, and this xk, the path that this xk follows, is known as a simple random walk with x0 is equals to 0. So if we look at this, then x0 will be 0. Now x1 can either be +1 or -1 depending upon the value of yi. So it can either go here or it can either go here. Then the value of x2 can be x1 +1 or x1 -1, again depending on the value of yi. Thus thus the value of xt is indexed by time, and it is following a random path because we can uh, explain it with the help of a coin toss. A coin toss is a random experiment, and the xt is following a random path and it is indexed by different time intervals. So it is a random process. It is a discrete time random process. Now, can you see my cursor? Hello?
Yeah, we can see it.
No, I think my screen got frozen. I'm not able to move. Yeah, now I'm able to move it.
Yeah, now
Uh,
it's visible.
yeah, so thus xt follows a discrete time. Xt is a discrete time random process, and this type of random process is known as a simple random walk. Now, the theoretical value of xt can either be plus t or it can be minus t. Like suppose we if I explain it with the help of a coin toss, then we can if I take time up to t is equals to 10, then we can either get all 10 heads, or we can get all 10 tails, or we can get a combination of both heads and tails. But theoretically it can be plus t or minus t, but in practical cases the value of all 10 heads occurring or all 10 tails occurring for a fair coin is very less. Thus following law of large numbers, we can say that xt follows a normal distribution with mean 0 and variance t. The mean will be 0 because the number of heads and number of tails for any given time for a large number of time will be approximately equal. So plus 1 and minus 1 will cancel each other and the mean will become 0, and the variance is t because at any time t which we look, the maximum value of xt can be plus t and the minimum value of xt can be minus t. So the variance will be t and the mean will be 0. So thus xt follows a normal distribution for following law of large numbers for a large amount of time. So some properties of x for a simple random walk are that it is mean reverting and it crosses the time axis infinitely many times often. This means that as we keep on increasing the time, the value of xt will come from positive to negative, then negative to positive, and again it will revert towards its mean, that is 0. It will always, if it goes 2 up, then it will come again, then it will come down, and if it goes 2 down, then it will again go up. This is one property of a simple random walk. Another property is that it always stays within the bounds root t and minus root t. This is because since the variance of xt is t for a large amount of time, then the standard deviation of xt will be root t, and so it will always, so xt will always remain in this curve bounded by these two root t and minus root t lines, root t and minus root t. So if we model any process using a simple random walk and we see that it crosses the value of root t, suppose, then we can say with very much surety that it will come back in the area again, and if it goes beyond minus root t, then also we can say that it will again come back, it will increase, the value will increase. Now moving on to Brownian motion. A Brownian motion is a continuous time random process. So a Brownian motion looks something like this. A Brownian motion is a continuous time random process, and a Brownian motion is the limit of a simple random walk. By this I mean that suppose I take 0 and 1 and I divide it into n different paths, and this is 1 by n, 2 by n, 3 by n. This 1 by n, I assign it a value of y1, y2 and so on. And suppose y1, y2, y3, y4 are all the values of a simple random walk. Like in this example, in this simple random walk, instead of taking time up to t, I have taken time up to 1 and divided it into n parts. So These are all the points of a simple random walk up in the time interval 0 to 1, and if I join them and take limit n tends to infinity, then this motion which forms will be known as a Brownian motion. So a Brownian motion is a limit of n tending to infinity of a simple random walk. Thus a Brownian motion will follow all the properties of a simple random walk. So the some properties of Brownian motion is that it is compulsory that b0 should be 0. This is defined as probability of b0 equals to 0 is 1. Then if I take any time interval between s and t, then since this follows all the properties of a simple random walk, we can say that this will have uh, bt minus bs will follow a normal distribution with mean 0 and variance t minus s, since this was the property of a simple random walk. Now, if I take any two different intervals s1 to t1 and s2 to t2, then we can say that these are non-overlapping. If SITI is non-overlapping, then the Brownian motion in this part will be independent of the Brownian motion in this region. We can prove this by suppose we toss a coin for 0 to 100 times and we record all the values which are coming. Now even if we know the value of the coin toss from 0 to 100 sample space, but we cannot predict the value from 101 to 200. So if two time intervals are non-overlapping, then the value of the Brownian motion has to be independent, because this follows a random process which is assigned the value in our example, which is assigned the value using a coin toss. So even if we know 1,000 data of the coin toss, we can never predict the 1,001th coin toss with 100% surety. That's why these two are that's why even if we know the past, we cannot predict the future in a Brownian motion. Now, a Brownian motion is determined by the idea that the upward pull is equal to the downward pull, which means that like the probability of +1 and the probability of -1 are both equal, and this determines a Brownian motion. So this can be used to model the prices of various commodities, because we know in pricing of various commodities, the probability that the price will go higher is equal to the probability that the price will go lower. So a Brownian motion is a very good example to model the prices of different commodities. But one property of Brownian motion is that it is non-differentiable everywhere. This is because a Brownian motion is a fractal. Like suppose I take a Brownian motion and I magnify this part, then it will again give me a Brownian motion. Now if I again take a part of the Brownian motion and magnify it, then it will again result in a Brownian motion. So I can never find the slope of the Brownian motion at any one point, because how many times even though I magnify it by many number of times, I will still not be able to get a perfect line, because it keeps on repeating itself. Thus, the Brownian motion is non-differentiable anywhere, and so standard calculus does not work on a Brownian motion. But as we saw earlier, Brownian motion can be used in the pricing of many things. But how will we able to model model anything with the help of a Brownian motion if we are not able to apply standard calculus to a Brownian motion? So to avoid this discrepancy and to use Brownian motion to model the pricing of different commodities, we introduce a new calculus which is known as Ito's calculus. Ito's calculus can be used to differentiate or integrate or use any properties of calculus on the Brownian motion because the standard calculus does not work. Now we look at something called quadratic variation. A quadratic variation at any function is defined as the value of the function at time ti plus 1 minus the value of the function at time ti whole squared. Suppose this is my function and this is time t1 suppose, and this is t2. So a quadratic variation is defined as the difference between these two, this squared and this summed over all the range from 0 to n. From 0 to n, this is defined as a quadratic variation of any function. Now if a function follows Newtonian calculus, that is the standard calculus, then it also follows the mean value theorem. The mean value theorem says that the minimum of f prime x is always less than equal to f of b minus f of a upon b minus a, which is always less than equal to maximum of f prime x. So applying the mean value theorem to the quadratic variation, we can see that the summation of f of ti plus 1 minus f of ti whole square will always be less than its some maximum derivative into the function whole squared. So we can take the maximum derivative term out, and this will always be less than equal to the maximum derivative whole squared into sum of ti plus 1 minus ti whole squared. Now so this t2 minus t1, the length of this will be given by t by n. Since the whole time is divided into n equal parts, the difference between any two consecutive time will be given by t by n. So the summation of this will be t square by n. So this term will be t by n whole squared, which is t square by n square, and summation up to n times will give us t square by n. So this quadratic variation for any Newtonian function is always less than equal to the maximum of the derivative squared into t square by n. Now as n tends to infinity, we can see that the quadratic variation of a Newtonian function tends to 0. Now, this is not the case for a Brownian motion. So, if a function is a Brownian motion, we know that it does not follow the mean value theorem because the difference between any two consecutive time interval for a Brownian motion follows a normal distribution with mean 0 and variance, which is equal to the difference of the time. This we saw here in the properties of Brownian motion. That the difference between the Brownian motion at any two time interval follows a normal distribution with mean 0 and variance, which is equal to the difference between the two times. So for the
just 1 second. Were you writing something, or like, or just you were showing up something like?
No, I was
Like,
showing this that
okay,
the
okay, fine.
Brownian this difference
Yeah, fine,
follows
fine.
a normal distribution.
Yeah, fine, fine.
So for a Brownian motion, the quadratic variation follows a normal distribution with mean 0 and variance, which is the difference between two consecutive time. Now we know that the suppose this is a normal this is a normal distribution, then the squares of this variable will follow a chi-square distribution. If this is the distribution of xi and xi is a normal distribution, then xi square will follow a chi-square distribution. So this The quadratic variation for Brownian motion follows a chi-square distribution. Now this can be written as the sum of all the values of the chi-square distribution, and this can be written as we can multiply by n and divide by n. Now we know that 1 by n into sum of all the values of yi is nothing but the expectation of yi, and by law of large numbers the expectation of a chi-square distribution is t by n. So this whole thing can be written as t by n into n, which gives us t. Thus we see that for a Brownian motion the quadratic variation is non-zero. The quadratic in differential form, it can be written as the quadratic variation for a Brownian motion is equal to dt. Now how is calculus determined? Like, how do we find out the differentiation? We will come to that. How do we define differentiation? So if we write for a Newtonian function, if we write f of t plus dt is equals to f of we can write the Taylor series expansion of f of t plus delta t, which is equal to ft plus del plus f dash t del t plus f dash f double dash t by 2 factorial del t square, and so on. For we saw for a Newtonian function that the value of the quadratic variation is equal to 0, and thus from here we determine the Newtonian calculus by keeping this terms and all the higher terms equal to 0. We come to the conclusion of Newton's calculus that f dash t is equals to f of t plus dt minus f of t upon dt, as dt tends to 0. But we know for a Brownian motion that the quadratic variation is not equal to 0. So we cannot set this second term equal to 0. So we cannot set this second term equal to 0 for a Brownian motion. So to determine Ito's calculus, we write the Taylor series expansion of a Brownian motion, and we do not set this second term equal to 0. Now, so from here we can see that there are infinite number of calculus which are possible depending upon which of the variation is 0 and which is not. So suppose if for some distribution the cubic variation is not 0, then its calculus will be different from Ito's calculus. Now we uh, we write the Taylor series expansion of a Brownian motion, and f of bt plus delta t minus f of bt is equals to f prime bt dbt plus f double prime bt dbt whole square by 2 factorial. And since this is not equal to, since db whole square is not equal to 0 but this is equal to dt, thus Ito's calculus also considers this term while finding the derivative of a Brownian motion. So derivative of a Brownian motion is given as f prime bt into dbt plus f double prime bt by 2 factorial into dv square, which is nothing but dt. Thus, this function, this type of calculus, this calculus is known as Ito's calculus, and this extra term, which is not present in the Newtonian calculus, is known as Ito's lemma. Now, this is the weak form of Ito's lemma. Moving on the general form of Ito's calculus, suppose we take a function in two variable. Suppose we take a function in two variable, that is f of t comma x, and we have to find the derivative of x, and later we will substitute x as a Brownian motion. Like we are considering x as a Brownian motion, but for the simplicity, I have not written bt everywhere, and instead of bt, I have written just x, and later we'll substitute x equals to bt, and we have to find the derivative of this function, which is depends on two inputs, that is t and a Brownian motion bt. So we write the Taylor series expansion for two variables, and f of t plus delta t comma x plus delta x is equal to f of t comma f at t comma x plus del f by del t into dt plus del f by del x into dx, plus this is the second order term, which is 1 by 2 into del square f by del t, del square f by del t square dt square plus 2 del square f del t by del x into dx dt plus del square f by del x square into dx square. Now since t is a Newtonian variable, so this will be equal to 0, this term will be equal to 0, this term will also be equal to 0, and the value of del x square will be equal to dt. Since the quadratic variation of a Brownian motion, the value of dB square is dt. So we can write this here as f of t plus delta t comma x plus delta x minus f of t comma x can be written as del f by del t dt plus del f by del x dx plus half, and this is the term which happens because the motion is not Newtonian and it has a quadratic variance. And now this del x square can be written as dt because the quadratic variation is dt, and so the differentiation of this function, the derivative of this function will be given as del f by del t plus half the term which comes from the Ito's calculus, half del square f by del x square dt plus del f by del x dx. So this is the form of the calculus where x is equal to bt. Now in most stochastic processes that we use, we are given a value of x which is equal to some constant into time plus some constant into a stochastic process, because general price, since stochastic processes are used to model price, and general price which we see are increasing over time, and then they follow a stochastic process. Like if I take this as x equal to t, then they will follow a stochastic process around this line x equals to t. So to model any process, any price moments, we consider xt is equals to some constant into time plus another constant into a Brownian motion. So dxt is equal to mu dt plus sigma dbt, because mu and sigma are constants. F is any function, and xt is given such that dxt is equals to mu dt plus sigma dbt, and we need to find the derivative of f at t comma xt. So earlier we found the derivative of f at t comma x, where x was just a function of where x was just a Brownian motion. Now x is some function of time, some Newtonian function plus some Brownian function. So we will just take the derivation from above and substitute for x, substitute for dx as mu dt plus sigma dbt. Again, if we open this square, then the terms dt square and this term will vanish, and the dbt square will again be equal to dt because of quadratic variation. And so the derivative of so the derivative of any function at t comma xt, where xt is a function of time and some Brownian motion, is defined as del f by del t dt plus del f by x mu dt plus sigma dbt plus half into del square x by del x square sigma square dt. This has just come from this equation. In this equation, if we substitute for x, if we substitute for dx equals to mu dt plus sigma bt, sigma dbt, then if we substitute for dx in this equation as this quantity and open the squares, then we get this result. This is known as the strong form of Ito's lemma, and this is very useful in pricing of any commodity or any finance. This is very useful in the in the pricing of any financial instrument. And
I have one small query.
yes.
In that, can you go just above? Small.
Yes.
Yeah. Here you cancel this dt dbt. So like, okay, I got that dt square we are canceling because it's Newtonian. But why are we canceling this dt dbt? The second term in the square bracket?
Yes, because dbt is equal to root dt, and when we take in practical purposes, then the value of this whole term is very small as compared to the value of this term, and this is almost negligible in the price movement. So we cancel this for easy computations. When we derive any model using this Ito's calculus, then the value of this term comes out to be very small as compared to this term. So we just cancel this for easy computations. We ignore this, like this is very much small than this, so we cancel this.
Yeah, fine.
And so this is the strong form of Ito's lemma, and this form is used in the derivation of all the financial assets, or in the derivation of the pricing movements or queuing processes, or any random any random process indexed by time. So for one example, if we consider very simple example, fx equals to f square, then we need to find the derivative of f of bt. So assume f is a function of time and x, and which is equal to x. So we can simply say that the constant with time is equals to 0. So del f by del t is 0, del f by del x is 2x, and del square f by del x square is 2. In this we see that this this has, if we write this in the form of mu t plus sigma bt, then the value of mu is 0 and the value of sigma is 1. So we plug all this in the above equation and we get this final result. So this is the derivative of x square bt. This is the stochastic derivative of x square bt. Now the use of the stochastic derivatives is, as I said, in the pricing of any commodity. Now we need to find the derivatives because we need to find the difference between two consecutive time periods. So for that, this stochastic calculus is used, and this is known as a stochastic differential equation. Now ordinary differential equation and partial differential equation are already too hard to compute, and stochastic differential equation also has one more term, so it is even harder to compute. So we use Monte Carlo methods of computations to find the exact solution of stochastic differential equations. Thank you, that's it. from this side.